Hey guys, I have a very unique opportunity today. I have a gentleman in front of me who I have never met before. I cannot even tell you his name. And the purpose of this is because we were introduced to each other by a mutual friend. He is interested and has questions about EP. He comes from a military background. He's an entrepreneur. And this is just something he's considering to move forward with his journey in life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer all his questions on camera as if I answer all the DMs or emails or whatever I receive, so that people can have an opportunity, especially if you're coming from the military, on how to get into EP or just the general questions and things of that nature. So, like I said, I purposely did not learn his name or anything about him. So I'm going to let him introduce himself because I don't know. And then we're going to go from there and just see how this flows. And I hope that everybody can use this as a resource and just take something from it and learn.
Oh yeah, guys. Hey, so Jeremiah Solven. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm X. Peace.
Nice to meet you guys too. So I'm a former Army Ranger. I've been entrepreneurial, most of my life. Grew up in a small town, and we can get into maybe some of that in a little bit. But the bottom line is today I run a leadership and high performance coaching company. Mm-hmm. But I'm always very curious about emerging opportunities. And I have a friend that he sold his last company for $100 million, and I was on the phone with him talking about my business and tweaks that I was going to make and what else exists out there. And one of the things that he brought up to me was like, hey, have you ever thought about getting into executive protection? He's like, with your background, you know a lot of veterans, this could be a really good path for you. And I didn't know anything about it. So I called our mutual friend Serge, and I was like, hey man, do you know anybody that's in this space? I'd love to learn and see what it's about. And the complexities of it and the problems within it as well,
Yeah. It gets a little tricky. Before we had the cameras running, you asked me how long I had been in EP.
Yeah.
And, it's such a daunting question because you have security. Security is the umbrella of everything, right? So the security industry is just security. There's no fancy word for it. Everybody wants to make it sound better than what it is, but security is security. But within that umbrella, you have 8 million things you can do. EP is one of them. Static posts, driving as an armed guard. There's so many different things you can do in security. So when you ask somebody, hey, how long have you been doing EP? EP to me is like a specialization. Like that's strictly bodyguard work and anything like that. Now, as far as me doing EP full time, or like that was just my bread and butter, I would say at least the last 13, 14 years. But I've been in security and doing security things for 22 years.
Okay.
So it's a little tricky when somebody asks me that. I'm like, well, I've been doing security 22 years. I don't really separate the two because I know what I did on day one still helps me for day to day. Like as in current times, whether it was just me standing at the door of a club doing body searches, or whether you're doing a patrol with your unit, everything plays a part to get you ready for where you are.
So what's like one of the smallest, maybe at the very beginning stages, something small that you did, whether, just security, to something that was complex, the most complex thing that you've done in the last 22 years? Yeah.
So starting off, realistically, I was a door guy. I was the first person you saw when you got to the club or the venue. I did the body search. I kept the head count. I made sure people, stupid stuff, making sure they were the dress code, everything was appropriate. There's no weapons, things like that. And then at certain points, when you have a club, you have artists who show up. So then that's your first real experience meeting an artist or actually meeting another bodyguard while they're working. I didn't think anything of it. Wasn't like, oh yeah, I want to do what he does or anything like that. But I did meet a guard, OG Jizzle. He's still around. He's probably like one of the dinosaurs of the game, but he's like the T-Rex. He's out there, but when you see him, you hope that it's on good terms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's a cool dude. But he was probably the first. Actually, he was the first person. He was the first person who looked at me and gave me his business card, because that's how long ago it was when guys have business cards. And he was like, hey, give me a call. I never gave him a call, but, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I wonder why he, kind of put that in my head. Maybe he knows something I don't know, but that was like my first looking at a bodyguard like, oh, okay, maybe.
He was like recruiting you though, maybe.
Yeah, but, at that moment, I'm such a knucklehead. I don't be thinking people are that deep. So
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
took it with a grain of salt and kept it pushing. But a lot of my progression was other people pushing me to do it. I had a kid named Andrew that he does EP now, but at that time we were all in the club scene and stuff like that. He was the first person to really be like, yo, go do this, go do that, go do this, like pushing me to go do something bigger than what we were doing in the moment. You know, and by the nature of law, it just all worked out. But he, you know, I never really foresaw this type of stuff. I wasn't worried about it. I was concerned with boxing and training and just being in the gym with the guys, and I was just doing the job to make money at night. That was kind of like where my mindset was. But the opportunities kept coming along. So what I did was I ended up learning the venue side of things relatively quickly because of the nightclubs. Then I started learning the business. What are artists expecting when they show up to the club? What's the protocol? How do we handle this to make sure we get them booked? And they're all that other stuff that most security doesn't pay attention to. I was learning that early on because I was a part of the process. Especially once you become the head of security at a venue, you want to be in the loop with all the information, you know, even if it sounds something stupid, you just want to be in the loop. You know, knowledge is power. You should know that.
Situational awareness.
Exactly. So that was really the journey. And then, you know, a business associate of mine was like, look, I'll be lucky if I keep you this many years working for me, somebody's going to take you. I was like, what? Like, I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. But
because you were just studying and you were trying to learn everything and be good at it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be good at the job that I have now. I wasn't worried about the job for tomorrow. I think where a lot of guys come in at is they're so worried about the big gigs.
Yeah.
They're not prepared to say, all right, I got to go through this first.
Yeah.
It's not all glamour. When you start this off, it's not all glorious. Not everybody's going to have a great budget. You're not always going to have the best tour bus.
No, you're starting at the bottom again. You know, it's just like when you get out of the service, it's like you got to go through the same shit you went through when you were in the service. You know, even as a business owner, when I got out of the military, it was back to square one. You know, you go through all the shit that you don't want to do before you can get to the good stuff.
Exactly. So that would be the first thing I prepare somebody if they come to me is like, okay, where's your mindset at now? Because at some point you're gonna have to eat shit a little bit. You're gonna have to slow it down and understand. Yes, you have this resume and you've done these great things on the government side, but now you're in the private sector. It works a little different, and you got to go through the hierarchy of getting those contacts and getting your name and your brand out there. Now, for you, I would say instead of saying, "Hey, I want to learn about EP and get into business," I would partner up with somebody. Because technically you do have contacts. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Like, you have high net worth individuals that you deal with and operate on an everyday basis. Yeah. If they already know you, the trust barrier is already right there. That's the hardest part is getting somebody to trust you with their business, obviously. And that's in any business, but especially when it's something that's not tangible. Security is not a tangible thing. Can't touch it, feel it, like it, love it. The only way you love it is if something goes wrong. The only way you like it is when you know the dangers of what goes wrong. There's not too many people on this earth who can walk around and say, I know this is what comes with it and it's dangerous. You know, they're usually just walking around blindly. Yeah. So you already have the first up. You already have a business mindset. You know how to run a business. You have a successful business. I saw what you pulled up in the parking lot with. So you're doing well. Okay. That would be the first part. But then you have to ask yourself also, is your home life prepared for what you have to sacrifice to be successful on this end? I would pretty much say yeah, because you're already an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs have their own schedule. That's always on the fly. Things happen. So you already have that working for you. So you don't have to worry about that part. If anything, if you have a partner, just let your partner know, like, hey, look, there's going to be times where I need to travel. But, you know, you being a ranger, you know what time it is. You can pack in 15 minutes. That's, you know, so that correlates with what you already know. So you don't have to stress yourself on those things. You just have to ask yourself, what is the game plan for you and what do you want to get out of it?
Yeah. And like, is it a lifestyle that I want to bring into my life? Right.
Exactly.
Like, I think that's an important topic when you're building a business, you know, don't you? Like really taking on, how am I going to be living? Because I think a lot of guys, they look at contracting kind of like the lady in the red dress. It's like, this is a great opportunity. I want to go for it. But like what you're saying is look at it as, hey, this is a career you're stepping into.
Correct.
And, learn all the ins and outs of it. But then on top of that, let's figure out if this actually supports the way that you want to live your life.
Exactly. I've seen a lot of guys who do it at a high level have to leave early because they burn out. What they really want in life, this doesn't bring that to them, so they go home. And I totally respect that, because if that's where your mind is, your body needs to be there too. Because you're a soldier. You know what happens. If your mind is not where you're supposed to be, people get hurt.
Yeah.
And this may not be the government. We may not be in the sands, but this can get very real. You're never going to hear about when things get real, because that's not good for business. That's not good for your client. That's another part of you protecting your client. Do you have the mouthpiece and the wherewithal to know how to talk out of situations, or talk where people stay out of the limelight or in print? There's been many times that my client has done something that should definitely be on the blogs.
Yeah.
But it's not on the blogs because me standing at that front door for however many years at the club, I know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
I have good social skills when it comes to talking to people. So I use that everywhere. Customer service is a big part of this. Yeah, it looks nice to have on a suit and look tough and move at a fast pace and move like water and all these movements, and we look all great jumping out the cars, but in reality, it's just customer service.
Yeah, and I mean, the client's paying for safety and security, and you're going to be helping them or maybe even take care of their family, right? So it's like conflict resolution is a huge part of it, because I'm going to trust you with my wife, I'm going to trust you with my kids, or they're going to trust you, in that type of situation. So it's like you got to really be able to not bullshit people, shoot them straight, but also make them feel good that you're looking after their best interests and that you've crossed your T's and dotted your I's in every way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's that. Then you, it's so many different variables. Well, with you, I would, see, I never had any military experience. I had a military father, right? But there's certain things and certain cue words that they look for on your resume that can help you just bypass a lot of stuff. So I can only speak from my state in regards to licensing and all this other stuff. But there was a period of time where executive protection came through a different license. At one point in time, you had to be a private investigator. So you would have a private investigative license, which would allow you to be an EP. Now it's on the security side of the licensing in Florida. But beforehand, you had to be a private investigative officer. And in Florida, that kind of gives you a little up versus a regular security personnel. They treat that a little bit better, especially with law enforcement, because a lot of law enforcement is retired private investigators. And one thing I learned in my state is when all the nice jobs come through, they don't come through like a normal job posting. There's no,
phone call or something.
It's either a phone call or email blast through a private group. And one of the best private groups you could be a part of is all the PI groups, because those are all former law enforcement officers. Another thing you get with a lot of former law enforcement officers are a lot of military guys. The one thing that I could never get around that was always popping up, and I figured this out very early, is every private sector high-end paying job, they didn't care what was on your resume as long as it said former law enforcement or former military. You have that. So you don't even have to worry about looking at the urban side of security. And what I mean by that is you don't have to do hip hop. You don't have to do the Rolling Louds. You don't have to do anything. You
go straight to high net worth individuals.
Exactly. You can go straight corporate. And the benefit of that is with corporate life, you have a schedule. You have a real schedule that you can live by. So if you're a guy coming into this who likes more structure, which is what a lot of military guys do, they prefer to have a day sheet where they know, okay, boom, 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 boom. I've seen that affect a lot of people, because when you get into a situation where it's a lot more fluid, you have a schedule, but hey, it's show business, we never know. A lot of guys get really antsy, and then it turns into a problem with the clientele, because you're constantly trying to push to stay up under this narrative of the schedule, and they're not. They're like, no, I'm going to sit in this car for an hour.
Really good insight.
Yeah, I'm going to sit in this car for an hour because I feel like it.
Yeah.
Even though there's 200 people outside waiting to do a whole video set or movie set, your client's in the car and everybody's like bothering you, like, hey, what's going on? Like, if you come from a background where you're used to a set schedule, that's not going to work for you. You're going to lose your mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so I would say, hey, don't worry about that. That side of things you don't even want to touch. You know, the liability on your insurance and the stress on your mental, it's not going to work for you. Let's go ahead and put you over here. Let's go ahead and set you up with some corporate applications. You know what I'm saying?
You consider high net worth individuals like business owners corporate? Is that still considered corporate?
Yeah, I consider anything that isn't on a stage as corporate for the most part, or at least with a real schedule. Because I have a person that I work with who's a high net worth individual, but then they're also a personality. So they go to events as well. But realistically, for every event we go to, we're going to 5 or 6 meetings with their venture capital group.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Or we're going to Palo Alto and dealing with that side of things. So that can be considered corporate too, because every night I have a schedule of everything we're doing the next day, every movement, drive time, as if, you know, I don't know what they give y'all in the military, but we call it a run of day, a day sheet, you know.
Like per diem or something?
No, not a per diem. It's just telling us our schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now, per diem, not everybody gets per diem. You know, not everybody has the budget for a per diem. A standard per diem is $50 a day.
Yeah.
You know, per diem is standard on tour. Now, if you want to do touring, that's a different sector. You know, you could do that if you like logistics and planning stuff out. You know, you get a 20-something city tour. You got to contact every venue. You have to figure out every route. You got to know the hospitals. Who you know, you got to talk to law enforcement, bomb squad, everything. You know, are we doing a police escort? Are we doing a non-police escort? How are we getting out of this? You know, if you're good at that, then maybe you want to go to the touring side of things.
What have you found were like the opportunities that had the least headache? Like the least amount of headaches?
Corporate. Private events is like one of my bread and butters that people don't realize. I do a lot of private events. I have a team of guards that work with me. I never say under me or for me. I always say they work with me, because if they're wearing my brand, they are a part of me and I'm a part of them,
Part
right?
of the team, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's another conversation too, of like, how do you manage? Because all those guys are type A personality.
correct.
Right. So it's like managing type A people is probably a whole nother.
And then how do you get a type A person that's not you to manage those type A people without pissing everybody off?
Yeah.
You know, it's a gift and a curse. But that's my bread and butter. So, you know, I would say 60% of my income at the end of the year is based off of private events. That is the least amount of headache for me. At first it wasn't, because when you first start doing these projects, you want to handle everything yourself. You want to make sure everybody's perfect.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do it at a certain size, it's not recommended to do it by yourself. You need a team.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will make you feel or think that this is a one man, you know, oh, I did it. I got it out the mud. I did it. No.
How many people do you need for, like, say, one high net worth family? And let's say they do, I guess it's going to depend on the job, right?
It depends on the job, their threat level, their budget.
But let's say you want to do something as small as possible, because you don't want to build a big team, but you want to learn the ins and outs of the business and get around high net worth people, corporate types. What's a scenario where, you know, there's a small team in that type of situation? What's the situation?
When you say what's the situation, like how did it get set up, or
like maybe somebody that you worked with before, where I'm trying to picture like a client where your goal is to build out this team like you're in right now, but you want to still learn the ins and outs of the business. So I guess what would be a routine client package for a high net worth individual? Is it, you said it's their events, right?
Yeah.
Like what's a regular
So
customer type?
Answer the first question. You're
Yeah.
always going to be learning the business, because
Okay.
it's always changing. What I learned and how we did things 5 years ago, it's totally different now.
Yeah.
And with AI being involved, it's 10 times more different. You know, I have to take a course on
Cyber or something?
on cyber and AI and the technologies that are available and the things they can and can't do, because not everything you do to protect your client is physical. You know, sometimes you need to be able to protect them about things that you may see online or anything like that. But as far as when it comes to the events, obviously you want a minimum amount of hours. That's the first thing you have to negotiate. How many hours is the event? Because sometimes people will call you for a 2-hour event. Excuse me. That brand wise will be worth your time. But if you're doing it just strictly off the numbers and trying to keep your guys working, you have to have a certain minimum amount of hours so that they're not feeling like their time is wasted, and you can guarantee that they're going to receive a certain dollar amount every time they leave their house. That's the first part. But you want to sit with the client and just go over what their expectations are. Because sometimes the client may say security and they'll be okay with somebody walking around 5'10", but then there's another client who expecting everybody to be 6'2", a certain look in a suit, but their budget may not necessarily speak that volume. So you really need to gather intel like any other mission that you may have done. You have to gather intel first. You want to know what's the event for? Like, are we protecting anything? Are there any assets on site that are worth value that I need to be mindful of? Is this just more crowd control, making sure the right people are there? And, it's just little stuff like that. And then you go with your bill rate, obviously, per individual, but then you want, no less than 6 people per event, because it might just be a small dinner party. But you want at least 6 people because
that's a good nugget.
Yeah, because obviously when you go into a venue of some size, they're gonna have at least 2 exit doors, guaranteed, right? So you want those covered. You want your entrance covered. That's 3. You want your perimeter covered. That's 4, and then you want somebody floating inside just to communicate what's going on. So that's 5, and then you got your supervisor, which is 6, which gives you your second man that's walking around the venue. So that's a small party of maybe 50 people. No,
but that's a good target for somebody that's starting off, because I'm thinking about whether, for myself and then somebody that's listening, if they're like, okay, this is the path that I want to take. I want to get into corporate. What's my target? Well, my target is 1, I need to learn the skill and I need to learn how to do the job. But 2, okay, if I can picture getting a client where I have a team of 6, then I have a target that I can work towards and build myself up,
Yeah. Now the next question I'm sure somebody's asking is, well, how do you get those clients? Right.
Yeah.
There's many different ways. The first thing you should always want to do is utilize your own network of friends and family.
I was gonna say my assumption is referrals first assumption.
That is the most profitable way to gather business.
Yeah.
I have a marketing person, but I got to pay that marketing person.
Yeah.
The marketing person has to put in time, an hour, and then they're going to bill me back for all the resources they use to market. Right. But it was nothing for my friend to say, hey, just call my boy. He has a company.
So did you build your book of business just by one handshake after the next handshake and building up a good reputation?
So my book of business came in 2 facets. One was how you said it, just handshakes and referrals. But a big part of what gave me a boost was what I mentioned to you earlier, was a partnership. I learned the business by working through somebody else's company. Made in Global Protection, which is a company that I worked for under Mark Catoto, and he helped me learn the business because I was his director of operations. So all those nightclubs that I was running around working at, it was through his business, so I learned about how his insurance worked. I learned about his invoice practice. I learned about the bill rate and why he was billing at that rate. I learned whose hands to shake and how things were working as far as getting contracts through relationships. So I got to see all that on his side of things, and I got to learn all that through his book of business, right? When it was my time for me to do my own, I had his resources because I learned from him. I learned through him. I could still call him. He introduced me to all the power players in that area, or that sector of the market for where I was living. And then also now my face is out there because, I may have been representing Made in Global Protection, but at the same time, when I say my name, that was my name.
Yeah.
So my name still got to carry with me. I may not have been with that company anymore because he dissolved it, but I'm still me. I'm still the same face. I still did the same work. Whether his name was next to me or not, I'm still that same person. So now they know, okay, just call X,
And you built this up the old school way before you really had a personal brand and social media. Just, so at today's age, people can get online and they can start building their personal brand.
Exactly.
So it sounds like, making sure that you're setting yourself up and having a strong reputation online, and you're a person of character is like super important getting into the game.
And online is great. Having a great reputation online is amazing because you can touch more people. But at the end of the day, if you don't own your market of where you are, like if that's not your strong foothold, then you really are killing yourself because you're not somebody they can rely on for one particular thing.
That's a good point.
So you want to own and operate your backyard.
Yeah.
You want to be one of the big dogs in your backyard.
Like the network effect, like start with one, turn it into two, turn it into three, and then just grow that
Exactly.
thing.
Because what clients will never tell you is when they get a quote from you, they're going to call somebody else.
Right.
And they're going to shop around. And they're going to call somebody they know in that area and they say, hey, well, I talked to this guy. Do you know such and such? The worst thing that could ever happen is somebody be like, no, I never heard of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then they're never going to call you back.
Yeah. Or you finish a job and it's like they're going to tell a story about that experience as well. Either you'll be memorable or not, right?
Yeah.
So do you want your name to be passed along through customer to
I'll
customer?
give you a perfect example. I have a client that reaches out to me every year. It's a school. I forgot what state and city the school is from, but they travel down here every year for a competition. In the last 3 years, they have called me. Don't remember this lady's name.
Yeah.
I don't have her number saved. It's a horrible business practice. But every year, that random number will come through my text thread, and I can see all the messages from year after year, so I know who it is. And they call me because, oh, well, I used him last year. I have changed business names. And I just know to call X.
Yeah.
And that's really what you want because it's repeat customers. Security is not like insurance where you always get a check because you already got the contract. Like, no, you have to keep working at it. You have to keep giving people a reason to come back. And they're not always going to come back for a weekly thing. It might be once a year, but that once a year invoice can make or break your month.
Have you ever gotten any government contracts?
I have not done government contracts through my own business. I have partnered with other people when it comes to government contracts. Only reason is because I didn't know how the process works.
Yeah.
And then when I found out how the process works, where I'm at in my career path, is the time versus money situation doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
To be worried about contracts. Now, another reason why I don't do a lot of contracts is because I don't have the confidence with some of my staff to do government contracts.
Like the longevity of them?
Yeah, because I don't have a bunch of military guys up under me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if it's a government contract, and I may be wrong, but you probably want somebody who understands that world better. So I feel like dudes who've had boots on the ground, who've been in uniform, they're more conducive to that, right? So until I'm in a spot where I can grab an operator and partner up with them and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to drive this business, this portion of the business. Yeah. I need you to guide that ship for me, and this is how I'll compensate you.
So when it comes to finding your target market, what's the person's aiming point? Like, so if somebody wants to get into security, you mentioned government contracts aren't really your target market. You've developed yourself really just looking at the best opportunity and what was going to develop you and just following that down the line. But what advice would you have for somebody that is considering getting into security and they're trying to pick their target market?
Like I said, the first thing you do is look at your home life. What is your personality built for? Like me, I can live out of a bag for months at a time. It doesn't bother me.
I like that.
Yeah, it's
I like living out of a bag.
Yeah, I'm a
wife
nomad.
hates it.
If I sit still too long, I'm gonna go bad. But I like to travel. I'm okay with traveling. I've been traveling since I was 18.
Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Miami.
Miami? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I've lived in Minnesota. I've lived in Portland. I've lived in Dallas. I've lived in Portugal. I've lived in Germany. I've lived in a multitude of places with different kind of like nothing like Miami, and it doesn't bother me. I'm never homesick. That's my personality. So me touring is a big thing for me because is what I'm used to, is how I operate. I can function under touring. A lot of guys can't do that. They're great personnel for security, but they can't tour. So, everybody is different. If you're a person who likes to be on the go, maybe you want the client who has the entertainment schedule, or you want the CEO who's always on the move, going to different regions in different countries. If you're somebody who speaks multiple languages, you're okay with foreign food, you're a foodie, you like being on the go, hey, that's something for you. If you're a guy who's more or less introverted and doesn't like to be around too many people, maybe you want to work on the cyber side of things or the security surveillance side of things, because properties need constant surveillance. So you can just do that from home. You don't have to leave the house. It just depends on who you are. If you're a door kicker, Maybe you want to be an advanced guy. Maybe you want to be a secondary lead agent. It can be freaking a country music tour. They travel 200 days a year. It just depends on what your lifestyle is. If you're a guy with a dog, no, then you shouldn't be on the road too long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You just got to figure out what works for you. Like I said, if you're more structured, go the corporate route. If you just want to, shake and bake for like 6-7 months out the year, work-wise, and then don't want to work the rest of the time and live off your income, then do government contracts. It's a quick bang, easy money. You just pack up and leave for a little bit. Sometimes those contracts are local and you don't have to be gone very long. I know right now with the alligator Alcatraz, I got a call about that. That was a government contract. They're paying guys to be out there. Licensed security agents are the officers on that facility. Most people don't know that. Homeland Security, those are government contracts right now with these ICE agents doing all these pickups. That's why they're wearing the mask. Not because they have to protect themselves, because, I'm worried about my family being targeted. That's a lie, because in D.C., all the agents don't have a mask on right now. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's because if I see Tom, Dick, and Harry, and I know he's not a cop, but he's over here picking up people for ICE, somebody's going to say something. So I need all y'all to wear masks. That's all it is. It's just private sector guys. It's government contracts. That's not real officers running around here snatching people up. Those are contracted agents.
So let's say that this hypothetical scenario where this person that's watching is going to get into the industry. One, they're going to weigh out what their target market's going to be, who they're going to serve, how big their team's going to be, and they're like, okay, I don't want to think too far ahead. I just need to get started. So let's assume that they're smart enough to figure out, how to get their license, and they can go on ChatGPT and figure all that stuff out, right?
Yeah.
Landing their first client, how would you go about that? And specifically, let's talk about Miami and Southeast Florida. What opportunities do you see in this area? If somebody's watching the show wants to land their first client, how do they go about that? And then what opportunities do you see in this area?
So Miami is a funny market because Miami has an international vibe, right?
Yeah.
And with that being said, you have a ton of people who come here who are very important to this world. And they move with a low profile visually, so you don't hypothetically know who they are. But they do have a team. It may just be an armed driver. It may just be, a staff member who walks around with them and things like that. So you have all this money here, but you don't know who you're looking for.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you really don't know who you're looking for. I was on TikTok the other day, and they were showing all the top developers in the Miami market right now. And there's like 3 big names that I had never heard of, but these guys were worth billions of dollars. And they're showing their house on the internet. Like, oh yeah, he lives right here on this. And I'm like, a person like that, anytime I've dealt with high net worth individuals, even if they come to visit Miami, they don't ever stay in a hotel. They stay at a friend's property, a friend's estate of some sort. And you know what's always at that property? A worker, a guard, somebody protecting that property. Residential security is probably one of the fastest ways to get you a client. Because unfortunately, clients are always looking to go the cheaper route.
Right. So you basically say kind of like you can hunt them not hunt them, but like look for them online. You can then go prospect that way.
You can prospect that way. All you have to do is just beat the other guy's billing.
Yeah.
You beat the other guy's bill rate, you're probably in there.
I think that's a good way in too, by the way. Like if you can find, I'll just use the billionaire example. Like maybe you can find this billionaire that goes to this this residential place here in Southeast Florida, and you like look it up, and then maybe you do, I don't know if this isn't appropriate to go do a visit, but maybe you do a visit and you're like, hey, I just want to let you know that you're at risk, for somebody like coming to your property, because I just found your address. And if you want me to reduce the risk of somebody finding you and your family, here's my card. You know what I mean? And get yourself in that way.
And that's one route, but I wouldn't do this because it would be kind of shady to me. My character wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
But if I'm really hungry and I'm like a go-getter and I don't care, I'm going to go to the property.
Yeah.
I'm going to expose every ounce of why that security failed.
That's kind of what
I'm going to document it and be like, hey, this is why you're exposed. I did this, this, and this. Here's my number and here's my service.
Yeah, let me fix it for you.
Yeah,
man.
but I'd be a dickhead about it. Like, and that's why I'm like, oh yeah, I wouldn't do it. But like, that is one route you can take. Another route is just being in the room. Go, it's like dating, right?
Go where they are.
Yeah, go where they are. If you want a rich husband, you don't go to AMC Theater.
Right.
You know what I mean? You go.
I mean, that's how this whole thing got put on my radar, was on top of like this phone call that I had with you. I was at an event, and before this, I was going to an event, and before the event, the guy that was hosting it, high net worth individual, he asked me, he's like, hey, do you know anybody that can do security? And then I went to the event, and he had the guy that he ended up hiring. Like, this guy had his pistol in his cargo pocket with no holster.
Yeah, he's a putz.
Oh my God, he was like, bro, if you have anybody, you need to let me know, because this is what I ended up going with.
Yeah, it's tricky. That's really one of the reasons why I do this podcast, is because I travel and I see the security standard, right? And we can easily criticize, but if we're not doing anything to help it, then why are we even speaking upon it? So my thing was like, let me just get out here and put people in front of the camera who are reputable.
Yeah.
And let them be from different regions and different areas, so that you don't have to just think about, when you see my podcast, oh, we'll call X because he has a podcast about security. Like, no, I'm showing you people that are in your area that you can call, that you should be calling, because they're going to get the job done and they're going to do it the right way. So that next time you show up to an event, you don't have to worry about getting shot in the ass by the dude with the cargo pants and the pistol, because the minute
he accidentally drops his gun.
The minute you think that, oh, it can never happen, that's when it happens.
Yeah.
My easiest details, or what I thought was going to be an easy day, is where I've faced the most adversity in regards to almost losing my life. And that's something you have to be realistic about. What are you willing to die for?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you served this country to come in and die on American soil through some BS.
I mean, that's one of the things I was telling my friend and my wife after I had the conversation. It was like, I came back from my deployments and I just want peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not necessarily looking to be on edge all the time. Like that's already my life. You know what I mean? Like, don't want to really add fuel to the fire on top of that. So it's definitely like a really important thing to consider, is like, it's going to put you in that mental state.
Even if it's not like necessarily death, but injury, you can get hurt doing this job. I've had injuries doing this job. This job takes a toll on your body. I had physical therapy yesterday, and my physical therapist was like, all right, so what are we working on today? Like, I have to do these things just to make sure I'm maintenance to walk around. Like,
you train a lot? Like, what do you train?
I do boxing, and right now I'm doing light weightlifting because I'm not trying to get bigger.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep my strength, but also just lean out, because visually how you look is just as important as how you perform.
Yeah, it's a deterrent for sure.
So
like, people don't fuck with me because I got cauliflower ear.
Listen, everybody who knows me knows, number one, I don't fight white guys. I don't care what size you are, because all white guys wrestle.
Oh, okay. That's good.
And I'm not a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, you're taller. I sized you up coming in. I was like, if I got to take him down, I'm going for the legs.
You see what I'm saying? And that's why I that's my weakness. And I know this because I had a buddy of mine, Richard Huggins. His nickname is Dick, and he's an asshole. Right, so he's like half black, half white. So he's always talking shit. Because I was like, yeah, wrestling. I was talking shit about wrestling. I was young. I was like, man, fuck wrestling. That ain't shit. He's like, you wouldn't last 30 seconds. My ignorance. Man, fuck you. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you something. I was breathing so hard I thought I died. I said, hold on. I'm never going to the ground again.
So what type of shape do you think that a person should be in? Like, what are some basics? They should do a little weightlifting to make sure you have a stature of somebody that can deter.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, first thing you got to do is be able to carry your own body weight.
All right.
Like let's just keep a spade a spade. If you can't give me 50 push-ups, and I'm not saying it got to be 50 straight. It could be 25 straight, break it, come back, give me another 25. But if you can't give me 50 push-ups in less than 3 minutes, 25 sit-ups.
Some guys can't even do one push-up, bro.
Exactly. 25 sit-ups straight, and then, maybe 15, 20 squats, air squats or something, deep air squats. You should be doing that before you take your shower and start your day when you have a detail. And you definitely need to be stretching. Too many times I've seen guys limping. They're walking on the insides of their shoes. These are all the things that I'm paying attention to well before I even hire a guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at his presentation. Your clothes should be laid out and pressed before the day before. You want to have the proper preparation, but if you're not physically in shape, that plays a factor in what you should be looking for as far as the position, your job. Not saying that bigger guys can't do the job. I know some very big, large individuals, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll translate to the mission.
No, but your body's your resume. It's
Exactly.
like literally going to get you the job, or it's not right off first glance.
And
So
like I get it. There's some husky, chunky guys who look great in clothing, but
yeah.
the client may not like that. That kid Andrew I told you about, that was working with me at the clubs.
Oh, yeah.
He got on me last year. He was like, "Yo, bro, you need to lose that stomach. It's looking kind of crazy." I'm like, "What?" I didn't see it. You don't when you see yourself every day.
Though.
Yeah. A true friend gonna tell you when you're wrong or right. And he embarrassed me enough that I took notice to it and did something about it. And not just because of the visual, but for your health. If you're not healthy, what's the point of doing a detail? You're putting your client's time at risk, and they're not going to be happy about that. So that's another thing a lot of guys don't consider is, how's your health? Are you going to the doctor every 6 months?
Yeah.
Are you getting the checkups that you need and things like that? Probably not. So, that's another consideration you have to take is your health, your overall health medically. Is it good enough to do 12 hours with minimum break? You're probably not sitting down. Is your back going to give out? It's little things like that. You have to be prepared for it. I mean, because at the end of the day, your body is your nucleus of everything. So you kind of got to act like an athlete, act like a professional athlete. Everything is about your body, taking care of it, being ready, and going over everything.
I'm big on that. Even with the business owners that I work with, I turn them into business athletes.
Yeah.
I'm like, we got to optimize you if you're going to make good decisions at work. It's everything from physical training to making sure that their stress is coming down to even now we're doing, peptides and blood work and stuff like that. And it's like, I think that's the new generation of the optimized, not just business leader, but man.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great message for the guys that are listening is to get yourself in that top shape,
One of the little tricks I do when I ask somebody, like if they're asking me questions, I try to feel them out. I ask them what's the last book they read. And you'd be amazed how many people don't read anymore. And then they go with, I listened to an audiobook. Yeah. Okay, which one?
Yeah, you're just showing me you don't work on yourself.
So it's, if you ask me what does a guy need to be doing, like you just said, working on themselves. Life is about evolving, not revolving.
What's a good book you would recommend? For it could help somebody maybe get in the game or just become a better person.
The first book I always refer any human to, I don't care what your background is, it's The Compound Effect.
Oh yeah.
I've given that book to people who are worth a lot of money, and I've given that book to people who don't have as much as the other person. And I've seen it impact everybody at every level. I think I've read that book 2 or 3 times, and the good thing is it comes with exercises in the book. So if you're a person who's more who likes to engage more and go like deep dive into detail and really like practice, it's perfect for you. But basically the concept is just teaching you how to utilize every little moment and showing how all things have an effect once they all are put together. Like I have a saying, there's no such thing as a big problem. It's just a bunch of small events that you ignored.
Ooh, that's good. That's really good.
So whenever people come to me and like, oh, we got a big problem, and they're like flipping out and panicking, what helps me keep my mind calm and at ease, and what helps with work in pressure situations is I already know that it's not a big problem. Let's get to the first problem of where we went wrong. The small little thing at the beginning. What did we miss? All right, let's fix that, and then we just break it down bit by bit versus,
yeah, like, I know, just being overwhelmed, trying to eat the whole elephant one bite. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, let's just cross-check stuff.
Have you ever read Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield?
No, I have not.
Man, I wish I had a copy here. I would give it to you. It's like a perfect book for you.
I'll go get it.
Yeah, that's like me recommending that one for you. You'll love it. It's about the difference between amateurs and pros.
Yeah.
And it talks about the behaviors of an amateur. And basically what we've described in this show, all the people that wouldn't get hired, wouldn't get the job, would have a hard time. They're the amateur individual.
Yeah.
And it talks about the shift that you need to make. But what I like about it is that it actually applies to all the different areas of your life. So as you read through it, you kind of get to see where you might be self-sabotaging, which is an amateur behavior. But I think you really like that book.
I'll definitely tune into it because, like I said, the compound effect, that book is so good that I gave it to, at the time, was a boxing trainer, and he left it on the plane and called me in the airport freaking out because he's like, I left my book. Where did you get it? I got to get another. Like, he was so upset that he left that book on the plane. You know, and I've given it to NBA clients. I've given it to everybody. Like, that's like my, I want you to be good, like do good in life. Here's the book. Like,
do three, like top 3 books. So you got The Compound Effect.
The Compound Effect, what's the Aurelius? What's this?
Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius. I have his book that I keep going back to, and
Meditations, like that one.
Is it the meditation one? No. It's damn. It's right on the tip of my tongue. It's literally in my book bag right now because I travel with it. That's one of them. Anything Marcus Aurelius, you'll get a good read. 48 Laws of Power is obviously one. Think and Grow Rich is another one if you're an entrepreneur and you need some discipline. If you're a man, you need to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You need to read The Superior Man. I let my 12-year-old read that. That's how important as a man you should be reading books like that. The Art of War is a must. There's no way you can tell me you're an alpha and you've never read The Art of War. You get what I'm saying? Like, don't tell me you're a deep thinker and you've never read The Art of War. I'm big on history, so I read a lot of history stories, history pieces, not necessarily current time war, but like really old stuff going back to the pharaohs, Genghis Khan, Julius Caesar. It was Brutus who was ambitious. I always keep that quote in my head because Caesar basically raised Brutus, gave him everything, but it was still never enough. So they have the saying, it was Brutus who was ambitious, but his ambition created envy in his heart to hate the man who gave him everything. That's people don't look at Shakespeare and all this other stuff and understand it, like, that's just a crazy way of talking, but there's a lot of game in it.
That's kind of like the security world, isn't it? Like, you probably experience that quite a bit in the security industry. Like people coming to you, like they come to you for an opportunity. I'm not trying to hone in on the people that you work with, but in general, type A individuals, they sense an opportunity, they go for it. They think they're smart. They got a big ego. They're ambitious. But if they're not being treated the way that they want to be treated, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, that ambition can create envy inside of them, and then they can destroy the relationship and they're out. That turnover probably happens a lot. Huh?
The turnover happens a lot. A lot of fake friends in the industry, just like anything else. I've invested in many people, but the one thing I don't do is I don't keep count, and I have a tunnel vision mentality. So like, you could burn a bridge with me, and I'll remember it if we need to cross paths again. But realistically, I don't
keep moving,
because the reason why you thought you can do what I do or be in the position that I'm in is because I make it look easy to you.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't bring the stressors that come with that position to you. I don't put it in front of the world to see because it's not for the world.
Yeah.
It's called being a grown man and handling business. So when you, i.e., decide to try to undercut me, to put yourself in position for something you think you deserve, I'm happy you feel like you deserve those things, and you probably do. But if you don't go through the right process to learn how those opportunities come and how to keep them, how to appreciate them, then all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot. Now you have to go through that life lesson on your own. I'm not going to be there to coach you through it or help you through it. And at the end of the day, in any other business, your reputation is everything.
Yeah.
Once you drop the ball with that client, once you kill your face with that client, that's on you. But just remember, that client talks.
Yeah.
Just like we do.
Yeah, there's a story that carries.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I don't have time to bash people or talk crazy, because me being a real alpha, I like to punch people in the face. And I have a running theory which helps keep me out of trouble. I don't get angry with people I can't punch in the face.
Fair.
I don't argue with people I can't punch in the face. Because now I'm upset and I want to punch something and I can't punch you.
Yeah, I'm helpless in this
situation. So now I'm just upset for no reason.
So I want to dive into some of the money side of it. We haven't hit the money side.
Oh, the money's great.
So give me some perspective on, I don't know, just give me some scope and some depth on the earning potential and the range that, just talk to me about the money and security.
So
what kind of money can you make starting out? I guess would be the question for the
starting out. I would tell people you can make a good income. At least, at minimum, you should be making, if you're doing EP Bodyguard, and you should be making $75,000 to $100K. That's doing bare minimum. That's consistently working, staying at a conscious price point for the market, and doing a solid job. That's having some type of experience. I'm not necessarily saying you have to go out there and get your own client to do this. I would recommend anybody coming into this, I would always tell anybody, don't try to get your own client first. Find a large company that has a solid reputation, that can give you experience around things that would take you years to get to. They can have you in that position within the first 6 months. Go that route, gain all the experience you can, learn the business, because you can do security, but can you understand security business? There's two different things.
Elaborate on that.
There's guys who can do security because they can work with the client, they can operate the client, they can stand with the client, they can travel with the client, they can do all those things, but they don't know how to do paperwork. They don't carry insurance. They don't know about liability. They don't know that the minimum is $2 million on the policy. They don't know about E&Os. They don't know how to invoice a client. They
follow up with an invoice.
Follow up with the invoice. What is the proper billing date from the time that you ended the detail to when you send the invoice versus the 30-day waiting period that the client may have on your invoice. You if you don't know these things, it's a problem.
Yeah,
and a lot of guys don't. And a lot of guys don't know it. They don't have the wherewithal to even care about it. They just want to get paid. They don't know that there's a business side to it. They don't know. Yeah, I hired you to work on the 15th, but the client's not paying until the first of the month. But within those 2 weeks, you want your check, right? You want to get paid. Like, no, I'm not. Why would I wait till the first? I worked it through you. See, they don't know that part. They don't understand the business. That's what I mean by, like, oh, you wanted to you thought the client would be best suited for you by yourself. Okay, well, do you even have the capital to pay yourself until they pay you? Yeah. They don't know the business of security versus just doing security. So that's what I mean by that. But if you sign up with a bigger company, you get a chance to learn. I think the best thing you can do in your first 2 years of this is learning. What I'm noticing a lot of guys doing is within the first 6 months, I got my own LLC. Now I got a transportation company. Now I'm doing this. Brother, you don't even know what you're doing. You're still not even packing your bag right.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. You don't have shit until you got your first sale. You know what I mean?
Like you're doing.
And then even then you don't have shit. But
and I appreciate the ambition. Like I love to see guys hungry.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see you come and go.
Yeah.
I see a lot of guys coming.
Well, it's an education problem. It's just like in any business. Like I was guilty of the same thing starting out. Like I kind of, people will go build the website, get the LLC before they have their first client. And it's like, that's just backwards thinking. You really just go get the sale and then you start putting everything together. I mean, maybe not in this because you got to be licensed and stuff. But my point is that it's an education problem. And I think you're doing a great job by informing everybody of how it actually works.
Yeah. I mean, hell, there's guys out here not even licensed.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not even licensed. They're calling guys saying, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you if you go do with the client." Bro, y'all can get jammed up in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like I get it. You're not always gonna have money out the gate. Get in where you fit in. But once you learn and you know better, you have to do better. Like that's just my main thing to guys. Like if you make a mistake because you don't know, cool. But once you know, now we have a problem.
When you work for a company, say so the person, let's just say that wants to get into the industry, they want to get the experience, right? So they decide to go with a company. It's probably going to vary, but the workload that comes out, if you want to be with that seasonal guy that you talked about, where it's like, hey, I just want to work the winters and then I want to chill out during the summers or something like that. What are the steps a person takes to be more of a seasonal contractor underneath a company to learn and be able to come in and out as they want?
Like I said, obviously you want to, like I said, get with a bigger company, but they also have forums like on Facebook and stuff like that. Like there's with the nomad lifestyle, it's very cliquey. Everybody knows each other or come across each other. So you want to go find those groups, see who's the decision makers, tour managers, production companies. That's who you go for. If you want to do touring, you need to go be friends with those people. You need to go ask them questions because they're the ones who are getting calls about all the tours that are 5, 6, 7 months out. They know all these things ahead of time. So it's your job to get with them and let them know what you do, or who do they use? Like, every tour manager, they have a nucleus of guys they call consistently to do security for their tours. If I'm Tom, Dick, and Harry and he tells me that he only calls Billy Bob, well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go call Billy Bob. But before I call Billy Bob, I'm going to do all the research in the world, and I'm going to let him know that I'm serious and that I'm a serious candidate. And yes, I may not have all the experience in the world, but that's a benefit to you. You can groom me in the right way. I can learn everything from you and do it your way. And then 2 things can happen. You can learn and continue to grow with that company and help build brand for them, or you can grow with them, take all the knowledge you need, and then transfer to do your own thing, or start doing business with other companies and saying, okay, I have experience now, I can work with you guys too.
What would you look for in a company that you're going to work under or work in if you're starting out?
The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure everybody's always gotten paid on time.
There you go.
Can they cut the check?
That's a good.
That is the first thing
right there.
The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure they can cut the check, and then also I'm gonna look at their clientele list. Is this a brand that I want to run with? Because what's gonna happen is, whatever you're introduced as is how they're gonna see you. So if you've been introduced into the urban market for doing hip hop tours, and everybody knows you for hip hop tours, when that pop tour comes up,
right, you're already branded.
They're not going to possibly consider you for pop because they only know you for hip hop. So it's almost like if I do a good job here, I can get stuck here. Yeah. So if you get with a company who's only doing one branch of it, is that where you want your career to go 10 years from now? Usually you want the harder acts early because you're younger and you're new and you can learn all this, so that once you get tired of it, because you're going to get tired of it, you want the easy stuff, which is the pop acts or the rock acts, things that are outside of hip hop, because those are typically less intense schedule wise, crowd wise. You get a lot of pressure from outside places because they're concerned. They don't understand the market. They just see it hip hop and they assume bad. So it's just like a bunch of pressure that you don't have to deal with when I walk into an arena and I say, hey, I'm with this female pop act. They're like, oh, okay, great. Like, they don't even search you. Like, you can walk in there with a bazooka. They don't even look. But if I say I'm with this artist and he so happens to be a rapper, he could be the softest rapper they have. The lieutenant is there, the sergeant is there, the watch commander is there. Like, it's, I literally just had a situation yesterday where my client wanted another artist just to show up and support them. And the NYPD was like, yeah, we can't do that. It's like, what do you mean? Like, they're like, yeah, unless you can guarantee he's just coming in one car with like 4 other people, we can't.
Because of his profile?
Because of his profile. It's just that simple. It's like, okay, all right. Like, and then how do you explain that to your client? Luckily, your client knows what comes with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully that you just be direct and just shoot them straight.
But sometimes they don't want to hear that. Yeah. The word no is not really in the repertoire of rich people.
It's true.
They don't understand that. And I totally get it, because every time I've thought about telling a client no, and I know that they're not going to accept a no, I then tell myself I'm not going to accept a no. And somehow, some way, it always works out. There you go. You know what I mean? So, that's typically it. But like I said, for you, I would foresee you being on the we call it the private sector. The private sector of things. You may not necessarily have to wear a suit, but jeans and a shirt. They like to just try to get y'all to squeeze in. You do advanced work, or where you don't even have to. I love advanced work because I don't have to be next to the client.
What do you mean by that? Advanced work?
So, you know, you have rules. Never go anywhere deaf, dumb, or blind, right? I'm sure you've heard that in the military.
Yes.
I had a military father, so I learned this very quickly.
Okay.
We don't do anything deaf, dumb, or blind. So I never let a client go into any room that I haven't been in already. I don't let my team pull up to any situation I haven't scoped out.
So like an advon work. Yeah.
So I'm the first one in, I'm the last one out. I'm first one in because I want to make sure it's already set up. And then they get in, I get them out, and then I just double check everything, make sure we have everything we supposed to, and then I leave. And then I'm already at the next location advancing that. And guess what? I don't really have to deal with the client. I don't have to deal with his mood swings. I don't have to deal with the attitude. I don't have to do none of that. And I'm getting paid just as much.
Yeah.
Must be nice. Like I said, there's like different things to do. But you're going to be more on the owner side of it. So just partner up. Grab somebody that you can learn with, that trusts you in your decision making. You use your resources that you already have with your contacts who's still in the military, guys who operate and train at the facilities you go to, and then you build your group and your core based off of that. Never lie to your guys. Always work with them, not against them, and not work and work for them, and not the other way around. They don't work for you, you work for them. And just make sure you pay people and get paid on time. Like, don't let people drag you out. The main thing is getting paid. Yeah. You asked me about the money. The money can be funny sometimes. You're going to get burned,
Like stiff, like people not paying you and shit.
You're going to get, I've been stiffed by a client.
Oh, you didn't do this for me? I'm not paying you.
I've been stiffed by a client, and I've gotten stiffed by another agency who hired me to take care of a jeweler. I took care of the jeweler and never got paid, but I still had to pay my guys.
What have you done since learning those lessons? What have you done differently?
Always take a deposit, and if I don't know you, I take full payment.
Okay.
Even if it's a tour. If I don't know you, I take full payment up front. And if you have a problem with it, I'm okay with that. And just make sure your paperwork is good. Your legal documents, your contracts. Know the difference between a 1099 self-employed versus a W-2. It's common sense stuff. But then also have a budget, because the business runs hot and cold. Like, it's seasonal. Like, one moment everything's just flowing, you can't turn down the money. And then might have a month where it's kind of slow. You might have 1 or 2 jobs. If you budget properly, if you save your money, you'll be fine. But if you don't, and you're just living check to check, you're going to have a problem. And no job is too small, no job is too big. I still take small jobs. I still go stand at a post, just keep myself sharp, because, sitting in an owner's box, you don't know what the crowd is truly saying unless you go down there. Yeah. So if you're in the protection business, how can you protect somebody if you don't know what the threats are anymore? Yeah. If you're too busy being an owner.
Disconnected.
Yeah. So I always try to stay grounded and stay within the mix so that I know what's going on. Plus, you want to see the new faces, the new players, the new young guys who are coming in the industry. Can they help you? Can you help them? Because you're going to age out, and you're going to have, it's going to be a point where you can't go out there and do it yourself. You got to call somebody every time. Yeah. You don't want to call people who are going to misrepresent your brand. You don't want to call people who are going to try to steal all your clients, throw you under the bus. It's just it's a bunch of different things, but that all comes with time. But the first thing you need to do is learn how to be a team player before you become an owner. And that's what I would say to any new guy. Find you a mentor, accept gratitude, and be patient. Be patient, because if it comes fast, it leaves fast. If it comes through the right triculation, it can stay forever. And just make sure you're passionate about it, something you love. If you're going to do it for the money, then do it for the money. But do it the right way so you can get to the money. Yeah. Like, don't try to skip, because you'll make some money, but then you're not going to keep it, because it's not going to keep coming in. If you want to make 6 figures doing this job, and you can make 6 figures doing this within the first 2 years. Hell, you can do it within the first year if you do it right. If you do it smart and you do it with integrity.
How do you get to say $1 million and $10 million? What has to happen to make those jumps?
Well, first of all, you got to dream big enough to do it.
Yeah.
You can't put a cap on yourself. You're going to have infrastructure for sure. You're going to need a lot of bodies, a lot of trustworthy bodies.
Okay. So not so much high ticket and big price point, but a lot of people, a lot of volume to get to those.
You're going to need volume. That's the fastest way. And like I said, that's Not necessarily EP, but that would be more static post contracts.
Okay.
And also, if you're going to do private events, you're going to do the bigger private events. So like food festivals.
Okay.
Just
Or like a I don't know, NBA game or a college game or something like that.
Yeah, you could do those too, but that's usually like CSC or something like that.
Okay.
So instead of focusing on the college game, do the college watch party. That's what you want. You know what I mean? Like little, like you pick up nuggets like that, because what you have to understand is these static posts, most security work is a part-time job. It's somebody coming in who has a full-time job and they're doing it as a side hustle. So you don't necessarily need contracts that are running Monday through Friday. You want the ones that are Saturdays, Sundays, holidays. You know, those are the ones you really look for. The MetCon, like those little fantasy parties they be having at the convention centers in every city. Met, what is it called?
What is it?
You know, when they like the comic book people.
Oh, Comic-Con.
Comic-Con, there you go. You get you a contract for that. That's a 2-day event. You run 75 to 100 guys. That's a $30,000 to $50,000 clip in your pocket. Easy. For 2 days. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't need, is ways to nickel and dime it. You don't have to do something every day to make a big ticket. You just got to you got to be the person with the right amount of bodies and the proper bodies. Like you have to have a certain look to your brand. You know, when a person calls you, they're going to know, hey, I'm calling you for guards. I know what they're going to look like. They're not going to be sloppy. They're going to be neat. They're going to be in uniform. They're going to be on time. I don't have to call looking for them. I'm not calling you to have 8,000 companies build up to be one for you. Like, no, I know what you're giving me. Put out a good product and they'll always come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can, this company like ISI, I know they're up. They even have a boat, he has a contract to the stadium, but he also has a boat because he didn't bottleneck himself. He saw a need. There's people with yachts all over the place, and they need security.
Yeah, there's a lot of them here.
And they just may not necessarily want the security on the boat with them. So now he has a nautical team. Like it's like little things. You pick up this information as time progresses and things change. But now he has a deal with the Coast Guard.
Yeah, what I like about this conversation the most is it like activates your reticular activating system, right? It's like getting that new car, you see it everywhere you go. So I think the biggest thing that this episode does for people is it gets them thinking on what to look for. Yeah. Because the next time I go to a mastermind on a yacht, or the next time I go even just by my neighborhood, I'm thinking about security, I'm thinking about protection, and I'm already looking like, how do they got that set up? How do they got that set up? Or I drive by the fair and I'm like, I wonder how they got this set up. And now it's like, that's really what a person needs, is just the eye to see where the opportunity is.
You go to downtown Miami right now, you're going to see 8 million jewelry shops. Yeah. You can see 8 million guards standing outside these jewelry shops. Ask yourself, do you not realize that the leasing agent own the building? They're right there in the building. You can go talk to them about a security contract. Yeah. I did that. A buddy of mine hit me. He's like, hey, look, I have a contract opportunity. I don't have the paperwork. Can you help me?
It's like one of the best little nuggets one of my mentors gave me. He said, don't seek for information, seek for awareness. Yeah. Which is like, this is what we're talking about. It's like, you just be aware of where the opportunity is and you can find it.
Yeah. Like I like when I walk past a guard standing at a door, I talk to him because I was that guy. Just because he's in that position doesn't mean that's his mindset. He just may be there because he needs to make some extra money. Yeah. So I'm going to talk to him. Ask him questions, see where their brain is at.
Shit, it could be like you, just trying to be on the line, getting a pulse of the whole thing. He's been in the industry for 20 years.
Exactly. So I was in New York and I met this young kid outside the dispensary. He's working security. Nice size. He was about 6'3", handsome young man. I'm like, oh, he's young, bro. Like, if I lived in this area, I'd scoop him up and train him because he has a certain look that I could use. I could have him at high-end boutiques just standing there making hands over fist money for contracts because that's a look that people forget you have to go for. You have to have a certain prettiness in security for certain things. Right. And he fit that profile. So I spoke to him for like 2 seconds, like, hey, bro, this is what you go do. Go find you somebody, blah, 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 blah. Because he was like, oh, how do I do what you do? I said, don't worry about what I do. Go do these things and you'll make some money. Yeah. Because somebody had a vision for me that I didn't have for myself. I can do the same thing in return. Return the favor. Each one teach one.
Yeah.
You know, so it's room for everybody. Like I don't ever deter people not to do this, but I just tell them, don't think you have to do it one way or there's only a certain way you can do it. You know, I have a frat brother who is all of 5'2". He is in charge of security for Amazon. He travels the world doing security, but if you saw his stature, nothing about him screams security.
I mean, it's like the recon guys in the regiment, like the RRC. They had this like a special operations unit called the Regimental Reconnaissance Company.
Mm-hmm.
These are guys that go undercover pretty much underneath the 75th Ranger Regiment. But these are like some of the most under-assuming individuals. Like these guys look like they spend their time playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly.
They don't look like tatted out military veterans. Like you stick me in Iraq and Afghanistan, everybody's like, that's an American soldier. You know what I'm saying? Like they look at me. But these guys in RRC, it's like they walk around and it's like, who the hell is this guy? He probably plays Dungeons and Dragons in his off time. Like he's not a soldier, you know?
Yeah.
But
there's no look to it in that, but there's something for everybody.
yeah, you got to have the right look for the job. Like,
Exactly.
make sure that's a big takeaway. Look the part that you're trying to fill. You know, be a student of the game and work on yourself. Cause like you said, if you're going to be good at it, you gotta be developing yourself in all different ways. And then I really, you know, it's a big relationship game. A big time, like building your reputation, your brand, meeting people, and just not stepping on your own shit every day. Right?
I get jealous when I see guys like you, and I tell people all the time, they're like, "Why?" I said, "Because he's gonna get more calls than me. He's gonna get the calls that I be dying to get, but I can't because I'm too big."
I was thinking the same thing about you.
I'm too obvious.
I was like, he's gonna get the calls I would want.
No, I'm too big and I'm too obvious. The longer I've been doing this game, the more I notice that the guys who are elite, like the supreme being guys that you want to emulate in this industry, you've never heard of and you will never notice until you're in the rooms to really find out who's who. You will never notice because they look like you. They're just gonna just be in the groove. They may have a couple tattoos. They in the gym. They may have cauliflower. They may not.
Yeah.
But for the most part, when you first walk in and you scan the room for threats, you're not going to say, oh, he's a threat.
Right.
You know, he may be a threat.
He looks like he's part of the room.
Exactly. I can't do that no matter where I go unless I'm with like an athlete. And I get a lot of athlete clients because of that. So it works in my favor with that. But how long, like, I don't want to be boxed in.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying? I don't want to be looked as a knuckle dragger or a people pusher all the time. Like, I want to be considered having a brain and being able to use that when I can. But like I said, I get jealous. I'm like, damn, you know, when you look at, what's the girl's name? All the girls go crazy over what's the pop number? Taylor Swift. Yeah.
Oh.
Her guy looks just like you. Y'all are the same size. She has like two of them. And
wait, does she have that McCaffrey guy, the Delta Force dude? Is that?
I'm pretty sure that's what he is.
Is former Delta Force guy,
Yeah.
John McCaffrey?
I gotta.
Is that the Bodyguard?
I gotta see his face, but
that guy is. I've listened to his. That's a side conversation, but he's I love his stuff, man. That guy's a savage.
yeah, you just don't, you can't tell, but
Yeah.
then he'll break your ass down in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't Elon Musk. What's the other guy? Bezos.
Yeah.
I met Bezos guys. You know how I was able to spot them? Because they were so unassuming. His watch was turned in. I said, oh, there he is. Because everything else he had on, he looked perfectly normal, but the watch gave him away. I was like, oh, you goofy. And he's like, oh, how'd you know? I was like, I know what to look for.
Yeah.
You couldn't hide that part of you, and you have to learn how to hide it. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, he'd had the perfect fit. But I saw his watch. I was like, oh yeah.
So what other last pieces of wisdom do you have for the guys tuning in on starting up their own, becoming self-employed in the industry, getting into security and being successful at it?
Be bold. Be bold, be respectful, respect the game, and get a mentor, bro. Like, we got to stop being so headstrong on trying to do everything ourselves.
Yeah, you know, I should have pulled the thread on that a couple of times throughout the show, because you did mention it a couple of times, and it wasn't like a hard, you guys need a mentor, but obviously mentorship has played a huge role in your life because it's why you are where you're at. And you started off with their guy Andrew.
Time.
Yeah,
it saves time. Like if you're gonna do something, you're gonna struggle with anything you do. But if you can help avoid some of the struggle, you should do that. And I firmly believe I'm where I'm at at the time I'm at because of the influences of others. But if I'd have been more receptive early on,
that's my fault too.
you know, only God knows, you know.
That was like probably my biggest obstacle was like my hard-headedness. Like it helped me out a lot, probably like it helped you out, but it also, I shut out a lot of help that probably could have came my way at the beginning.
Like, you know, I'm lucky I got this knucklehead behind the camera who pushes me to do things that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, hell, this podcast.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I want to do a podcast. Like,
yeah.
Is kind of part of the evolution. And, you know, I could fight it or I could try it out and suck it up and get out of my way and see what happens. And I'm helping people. Yeah. And that is why I don't make $1 from this.
Yeah.
I spend money on this. I don't make money from this, but I feel good about it because I'm doing something to help people just like somebody helped me. So yeah, like if you have any other questions later on, you'll have my number, my information. We cool now. So shit, you can hit me up and I'll definitely point you in the right direction. But I the way the world is working now, with your background, it would be perfect timing. I'll say that. Right. I'll leave it on that. I'm not gonna get into politics.
Yeah.
And I think if you're doing this, you should stay out of the politics and you should stay out of the religion, and whatever thoughts you have, keep it to yourself, because you will work for both sides. Actually, you can work for all three sides. And if those who understand what that means, they understand it. If you don't, I'm sorry, you're not in the rooms yet. But you're gonna work for all three sides. Yeah. And the minute they know what you're leaning towards, they won't deal with you. So don't give them nothing. But this is the perfect time for you to lean in and get your license, get your guns, it's about that time.
Well, man, for a couple of guys that didn't know each other, I feel like we really kicked it off on the interview here and everything.
Shout out to Serge.
Yes, shout out to Serge. So thanks for burning it down and chopping it up and answering some questions.
Listen, I heard you're a nice little shooter, so we're gonna put the conglomerate together. We can go down to Homestead and get some action in. Right. But anybody out there, we're gonna have his socials on there.
That's just Jeremiah Solven, JeremiahSolven, and just DM me on Instagram.
Yeah, because he has a lot of good things going on, especially my brat guys, the guys who got sand in their ears that are still friends with me. You know how much respect I have for anybody who's done real military work, and I've briefly taken a look at some of his page, and he has some game changes on there. So we're definitely gonna lock in. We're gonna push all this content possible. So together, 8 strong, another episode of Silverback Syndicate. I want to thank my guest today. I hope people have learned something from this. And stay out of my DMs. I'm out.